Welcome. This is our presentation of Activity 9 of Global Culture. In this presentation, we will talk about folktales and what they are, and we will specifically talk about two of them. We are Uriel Espinosa, Kevin Bedoy, and Christine Sotomayor. Let's start. Okay, so let's start with the concept of folktale. What is it? Well, it is not very difficult as a concept. It is basically like a traditional type of story or piece of literary work that is particular to a specific region or to a specific place and its oral history and its oral culture. Some examples of this kind of tales are, for example, fables, fairy tales, certain rhymes, and even certain myths and legends from certain places, and they are all part of the classification of the folktale. And they usually are repeated from one generation to the other, and usually they have many versions. Like they are not a single version of the story. There are like many versions of that same story, and sometimes their origin is unclear. We don't really know what is their origin, and they are a very important way of passing information, specifically values and knowledge of that specific culture or that specific region. And they are likely inspired from real events, real people, real information. And that information and that people and those events have been distorted due to the oral history of the place and the oral tradition. And they are the kind of tales that parents are likely to teach to their children in order to teach them lessons or make them understand certain values or principles. Okay, so the first tale of this kind that we are going to present is Cinderella. This is a folk tale that is very well known. It is probably one of the most famous fairy tales of history. As we said, fairy tales are one type of folk tale. And we'll probably know this story already because of the Walt Disney full-length feature film, the animated version of it. However, the story in itself is actually very old. We don't really know how old, but we do know that the oldest version is believed to be La Gata Cenerentola. I hope that's the correct pronunciation. It is Italian, and in that version of the story, the character is actually called Cesoya and not Cinderella. That is a very curious fact. And perhaps the most famous versions of this story, apart from the Disney animated film, are probably the one by the Grimm brothers, that it is from Germany, and the French one by Charles Perrault.
All versions of the folktale follow the same basic premise. There's a young woman whose mother dies, and so she is under a care of an evil stepmother and is forcing her to serve his evil stepsisters. One day, the prince of the town makes an event in which he will try to find a wife to marry. The young woman wants to go, but is prevented from going by his stepmother. However, with the help of a magic fairy, she is able to go the prince fall. She is able to make the prince fall in love with her. However, the magic is granted by the fairy is only limited amount of time, and so she has to escape from the event. But as the prince has fallen in love with her, he makes a search in all the towns until she finds the woman. At the end, he finds her, and they're married. Okay, some of the differences we see in the versions we chose is that in the Italian version there is like a very mysterious way, because the mother dies, but Cinderella has two stepmothers. One stepmother was okay, but Cinderella didn't like her very much, and in that way she had a teacher that she likes it very much, and the teacher influenced Cinderella to kill his first stepmom. He told him to let down a lid of a bowl, that it was dresses right there, that let down the bowl, and they killed her. But it's in a subject way. The author didn't explain that it was imaginary or it was real. So when she married the teacher, she was hiding six stepsisters, The six stepsisters started to treat Cinderella very poorly. They they make her wear very poor clothes. They didn't have a bed, and lately the real father, lost every affect to her, lost every love to her. That's in the and now we know all the story. He goes on a trip to an island. Cinderella tells him to bring a flower, uh, and to bring jewels and everything. In the Disney movie, he didn't return. He died. But in the Italian movie, he did return. He did bring all the jewels, all the dresses, and the flower. And Cinderella goes to his mother Grace, plant the flower, and then it grows like a big amount of tree. And then of that tree came the fairies, uh, that that help her out, as they conquer this prince. Okay, that's it in the Italian, and now in the other version, in which we see of 1812, um, we have this. The young woman is not always called Cinderella. The number of stepsisters she has varies. The, the sliper is present in some of them and in others not. And some versions are more gruesome than others. For example, in the one that the Grimm brothers, the stepsisters cut their feet, toes, in order to make the slipper fit, and at the end, their eyes are eaten by crows. Yeah, so when the slipper fails and the prince tries to find who's responsible, he goes to the stepmother's house, and she first presented the two sisters, and they fit. But when they go, the birds, the pigeons, in this metaphorically case, the pigeons are the conscience of the real mother that are trying to form and make Cinderella go the right way, go the noble way. And they think, oh, they have blood on the slippers. And so yeah, they they didn't come out with, well, they didn't get any of the stepsisters. So yes, they go to Cinderella, and he obtains what she wanted. He obtains the prince, but not as a false person, not as a uh, um as a as cheating. Well, he he makes him. She posted to the prince like she really was a poor and noble person. So that's what the story tries to tell us, that vanity person, envy person, evil person often go the wrong way, and things in life happen to them that is wrong because you're a wrong person. You're not doing the things well, and when you're noble and humble, and everything will come to you the right way. So yes, that's the main values of this story and the variations that are.
The second folk tale we decided to choose was Humpty Dumpty. We all know this story, although in most versions it is not really a story, but more of a short rhyme. But there are different versions in which this character, Humpty Dumpty, falls from a wall. The first known publication of the story or rhyme of Humpty Dumpty was in Juvenile Amusements by Samuel Arnold in 1797. That version is slightly different to the modern ones. However, although that is the first known version, it is almost a fact that the rhyme is way older, and if its exact origin is unknown. One possible explanation or origin is that this folktale originated from a cannon that fell from a wall during the English Civil War, which was between 1642 and 1649. It is believed that this powerful cannon that was referred to as Humpty Dumpty fell from a wall during the conflict, and the soldiers couldn't put it back together. This folktale has many interpretations. One possible value it tries to explain is the importance of being aware and always putting attention in what you do or or you could fall from a wall like Humpty Dumpty. Also, it teaches the lesson that there are certain things that cannot be repaired, certain mistakes, certain actions, certain things, and that is a great cultural value to teach.
Okay, so that will be all on our part. Those were like our explanation of what is a folktale and of two very famous folktales that both teach like very important cultural values, and we can like learn a lot about them and a lot about the culture from which they originated. They are both universally known. They are like very famous around the world. So yeah, we hope you are now informed about that.